Have you ever heard of Siren Head, or better yet, Siren Head? He is a tall and mysterious humanoid creature, known for his strange appearance and the various sounds that echo from his head. As his name suggests, his head is a pair of sirens with mouths that he uses to annihilate any victim unfortunate enough to come across him. Standing 10 meters tall with a skeletal structure covered in dried, mummified flesh, his limbs are disproportionately long and thin, with arms as long as legs. Where would his head and neck be? There is a thin pole of flesh with 2 sirens attached and several black wires winding around his neck.
And on the upper part of the shoulders as well. Those speakers are the only metallic parts of his body. He is able to rotate them around like an owl's head. Some images show siren head speakers with jaws and a long, retractable, thin, snake-like tongue. Siren head speakers can play various types of loud noises, usually air raid sirens, distorted music, conversations, or emergency broadcasts. Woo, 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 woo. Alert, alert, alert.
As expected, Siren Head is very hostile and dangerous. He is usually found in rural towns and areas with lots of trees. Siren Head's victims are lost travelers, hikers, and even small children. If he plays the sounds of someone in danger, he can easily lure victims into the forest. Since he can blend in very well with the trees, people don't even notice him, allowing him to launch a brutal attack at any moment and capture his victim.
Showtime!
The first appearance of Siren Head happened in 1966 when a family on vacation in the Arizona desert captured a picture of him near 2 telephone poles. 30 years later, on July 16, 1995, on July 16, 1995, Chad and his friends were walking in the woods of Tanyard Creek, where they encountered Siren Red, or rather Siren Head, lurking. According to Chad, his friends were snatched by something gigantic that was moving through the trees, imitating their voices. "Hey, come here! Hey, come here! I want to talk to you! Hey, Chad was found alive with some injuries while his friends were nowhere to be found. In total, there were 9 reports involving attacks by Siren Head. All the stories were told by victims who survived.
Hello, my
friends. Today, we're going to learn about a very bizarre creature called Lighthead. He's similar to Siren Head. It's believed that he's a variation of Siren Head because the resemblance is very strong. However, instead of sirens on his head, like Siren Head, Lighthead has a light like a lamp, you know? The origin of this creature is still unknown. Some theories say that for some reason he lost his Siren Head and replaced it with street lamp bulbs. We know the way he uses to capture his victims. Usually, Lighthead attacks people at night in urban areas. By positioning himself near lampposts, he manages to blend in perfectly with the surroundings. To notice the difference between a regular lamppost and Lighthead, a person has to be really attentive, my friend. However, most people don't pay attention to the post, to the creature man. They just walk around looking at the ground or at the horizon. They're ignoring the creature there, at the first human sign. Getting closer, the light on top of its head starts to get brighter than usual. When the victim enters its range, the light gets brighter and it starts to get hot, man. Somehow, this bizarre being manages to draw all the energy from that neighborhood to itself, emitting a flash so strong that it burns the person in seconds.
So he
feeds on well-done meat. You can repeat that a few times during the night, right? And hide somewhere more deserted to spend the day without being detected. So my friends, be careful when you're walking near a street light so you don't end up getting roasted by Lighthead. This terrifying being is not the only one of its kind that terrorizes people's lives. That's why we're going to talk about the Siren lineage here. To this day, 4 variations of the Siren lineage have been catalogued. They are creatures that apparently descend from Siren Head, or went through the same biological process he did for their structural formation. Basically, creatures fused with parts or objects and that use their siren to emit something and feed through it. The first one is known as Ice Siren Head. It's a quadruped that gets its name because of the way it hunts its prey. It uses sound to stun its target and then uses the freezer in its chest to trap and freeze its victim, storing it for months. That way it always has a pantry full of frozen meat to enjoy. It is only seen in winter, in places with a lot of snow. That's why it uses its freezer to store food for the months when it doesn't leave its hiding place. Wood Siren Head. This variant hunts in forest environments, using its physical appearance as an advantage to camouflage itself. The texture of its skin looks like wood, and when you see this creature among nature, it goes unnoticed. It has thin fingers like dry branches, which have the main function of piercing its prey. Its head has 5 sirens of different sizes, suitable for each animal it captures. If it spots a little mouse, it emits sounds of its partner so that the rodent comes closer. Then when it's within its reach, Wood captures and eats it with the small siren. But if it's a deer or something like that, it uses the bigger one, always matching the siren to the animal. Blood Siren Head is the tallest variant of all, reaching up to 40 meters in height. This creature has red skin that's always dripping blood, carrying 4 sirens on its head. This variant is very aggressive and destroys more for pleasure than for hunger. It only drinks the blood of its victims and leaves the solid remains behind, ingesting many liters of blood until its veins burst and blood pours out of its body. This creature is without a doubt something brutal. Shadow Siren Head. This variant carries a very dangerous component in its body. Unlike Ice, who carries a freezer in his chest, Shadow has an anti-gravity device inside him. It is not known whether it was a weapon created by terrorists for dubious purposes or an unsuccessful experiment by some organization. We only know that Shadow emits waves in random directions which can cause irreversible damage to those nearby or even far away. Its range can reach kilometers away, making people float, entire cities lift off the ground, and when the effect wears off, catastrophe strikes. Tons and tons falling from an absurd height, causing total chaos. It's not exactly known what it feeds on, since it doesn't seem to have any purpose other than destroying everything. Well, those were the variations of Siren Head. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. On a rainy night, a couple hears a noise coming from their door, sounding like a child's cry. When they go to see what it was, they end up finding an abandoned baby. They start taking care of this child with a lot of love and affection, and as time goes by, they notice something different. The girl is changing, her skin is becoming more reddish. They take her to the pediatrician for routine checkups to find out the reason for this change, but the doctor can't figure out the cause. The girl's parents started to notice that she had a violent nature, that she was way too aggressive. They always explained how to behave and illustrated what was right and what was wrong, but they saw that she always leaned toward the bad side. To help with her learning process, her parents gave her a pet, a little domestic mouse. She had never seen a creature like that before, and she was happy with the gift. That way, she would need to take care of the animal and value life. To her parents' surprise, after a week they no longer saw her playing with her little pet. They asked where the rat was, and she replied that she didn't know, that it had probably run away while she was sleeping. Time went by, and one morning while she was at school, her mother was tidying up her room, and when she wiped under her bed, she found mortal remains as if she had eaten the animal. Her mother ended up letting it go and didn't tell anyone about it. With each passing day, her appearance became stranger. She was getting thinner and her skin drier. She no longer felt like eating meals and found everything her mother offered her disgusting. Her parents were already very worried and decided to go to a doctor again, this time a specialist. They thought she had some kind of eating disorder or something like that. So the next morning, when they went to wake up their daughter, her mother pulled back the sheet and she was different, like the siren positioned around her mouth. She was startled by being woken up suddenly and screamed, causing the whole house to be destroyed. The frequency of her sound was so absurd that only wreckage was left. After this accident, she was traumatized for having destroyed her family, and so she began to completely deny her dark nature. The dark impulses that came needed to be contained daily. Thus, the girl grew up and tried to continue her life normally. She followed the routine of a student, but unfortunately she couldn't resist for long. Her siren nature required human flesh. All other foods were indigestible to her, leaving only one thing to do: eat the students at her school. So she started picking people who annoyed her and mistreated her, acting in the shadows and keeping her tracks hidden to this day. One night, a man was in his cabin getting ready to sleep when he suddenly heard the door closing. He went to the window and saw his son Geraldino walking in the yard. Strange, what is he doing awake at this hour? He called the boy, but he didn't answer. He kept walking up to the edge of the yard when he got close and touched his shoulder. Dad, what are you doing here? I should be asking you, why aren't you sleeping, Geraldino? And the boy can't answer why he's out there. The next day, the same thing happens and the father intercepts the boy at the door. Where are you going, my son? I heard a call from the backyard. Who called you? The talking rabbit. What does he want with you? He lives in a hole in our backyard. He called me to visit his world. He said it's a fantastic world and that he's already taken several children there. I'm the only one left for this adventure. Son, you were dreaming. Go back to bed and sleep. After putting her son to bed, she went to the backyard and soon approached the bushes by the fence. She heard a rustling in the leaves as if some animal was hiding. And when she parted the bushes, she saw a hole about 30 centimeters in diameter. He thought some animal was making a path through his backyard. He grabbed a shovel and threw dirt to cover the hole. Geraldino likely saw the hole and began concocting tales in his vivid imagination. That's what his father believed, correct? So the next night, around 11:33 at night, he went to his son's room to see if everything was okay, right? And to his surprise, he wasn't there. He checked every room and the boy was nowhere to be found. He quickly remembered the boy's story, ran to the backyard, and when he got to the bushes, the hole was open again, but now it was a meter in diameter. He became desperate and started crawling into the hole looking for his son. He doesn't know, but his son fell into Siren Bunny's lair. That's right, this creature looks like a normal cute bunny, but when night falls, it goes hunting. It usually appears in small towns. It looks for a neighborhood with plenty of children and digs tunnels all the way to those people's backyards. Its face opens up and a siren is revealed. With its antennas, it pinpoints the exact location and emits a hypnotic signal at the target. Only children can hear this frequency, and there's no way to defend against it, my friend. The only way for the child to snap out of that trance is if someone from the outside intervenes, right? That's how he manages to lure several children to his lair, man. And once they go in there, it's over. Have you noticed that every school rings an alarm at certain times of the day? And when that happens, something like recess or time to go home happens too, right, my friend? These are basic signals so everyone knows what time it is and what's coming next. Knowing that, a creature started taking advantage of this school environment to feed, make victims, and fill itself up a bit, right? Known as Siren School, this monster from the Siren lineage settles in schools and simulates those signals we're used to hearing, confusing the students who study there and even the teachers, causing a lot of confusion. The teacher is giving a class there, right? Suddenly the bell rings. The children think it's recess time and run out crazy looking for fun. However, they are told by the authority present to go back. The alarm rang by mistake, says the principal. However, it's at this moment that Siren School claims its victims, the ones separated from the crowd who are passing by. It is estimated that this species of siren head has managed to adapt to this school environment and is reproducing rapidly in the cities. He can also release Fogman, making visibility low. That way it's easier for him to catch the stragglers and swallow them up, you know? The way for you to survive if your school has a siren skull creature is to avoid walking alone. Always walk with at least 5 friends with you, my friend. Stay away from poles, masts, or anything that looks like a pole with a siren, you know? That way you'll have a better chance of surviving. If you get caught, scream and make a lot of noise. This creature doesn't want to draw attention to what it's doing, right? That could compromise its actions at the school. So my friend, be careful with the siren skull. This creature is really bizarre. In the year 1942, the United States tested a new weapon called the bazooka. It's used to launch rockets at a distance and suddenly blow up the target, man. The main goal was to destroy war tanks. It's an extremely easy weapon to carry, weighing about 6 kilos. The soldier can put it on his shoulder and hide in debris or foxholes on the battlefield. And when the enemy least expects it, the tank would be surprised with a missile right in its face. But what they didn't count on was that about a year later, the Allies also started getting hit by a bazooka, a weapon created by them. Did enemies copy the device? Yes, the Japanese and Germans created their replicas named Type 1.85 inches anti-tank rocket launcher and Panzer Track Bro, respectively. But that wasn't the case, man. The American intelligence team got direct information from the battlefield, but they couldn't explain to their commanders what that was. Soldiers said they saw a very tall, skinny creature that fired missiles from its head. It was shaped like a bazooka and was causing many casualties. Anyone who crossed this monster's path clung to their faith and asked God for a place by his side before exploding. Called Bazooka Siren Head, it was probably the first monster of its kind. It took out many on the battlefield, and the question remained, who was the creator of this abomination? Did some country create this in a laboratory? Or did forces from the supernatural world create this? Bazooka Siren Head appears during moments of human conflict, and its only goal is to destroy and feed on humans who get in its way. Hello, my friends. Today we're going to talk about a creepy creature that was first seen in 2007. It all started with the appearance of a video on YouTube. It showed some crazy guys hunting ghosts in a place that looked like an abandoned factory. Until at a certain moment, while searching the area, they open a compartment and see a creature that looks like a humanoid pig. You can hear the sound of, "I have a body of a pig." The crowd runs away and flees the place. After this video, reports started to emerge of people saying they had seen this ghost wandering near abandoned industrial areas. The story of a person named Frank drew a lot of attention. Frank says he worked there. This place used to be a pork slaughterhouse, and he operated the camera room in that warehouse, watching everything that happened. If any employee wasn't doing their job properly, he would definitely see it and check. One day he noticed that an intern was behaving strangely. The young man was paralyzed. He didn't move for about 10 minutes. Frank thought it was strange and called him on the radio, but the young man didn't respond. So he went there, right? And he noticed something bizarre happening. The young man was staring at the head of a pig and said that it was wrong, that those dead animals had a long life ahead of them, that they had wives and children, and that humans would pay for it. They would be the next ones on that table, being killed and packaged for the consumption of other beings. Frank told the young intern to go have lunch and rest for about 30 minutes. Because he believed the guy was too tired. Later, in his office, he saw the same guy walking around holding the pig's head. Frank tried to communicate with the intern again over the radio, but got no response. That's when some bizarre interference started happening on the cameras. Frank went to the hallway where the young man was and came across something terrifying. The young man was wearing the pig's head as a mask and wielding a knife.
I'm gonna finish off all the filthy humans, starting with this one right here.
Frank couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was shocked by the situation. From that day on, strange things started happening in that place. Every day, employees would show up cut in different parts of the factory. They said it was the pig's ghost doing it, until people, afraid of being the next victim of this bizarre being, abandoned their jobs and the factory closed down. Since then, it's believed that Ghost Pig wanders in search of humans, trying to get revenge for everything that was done to his kind. Hello, my friends. Today we're going to learn about a sinister creature known as Train Eater. This thing is capable of changing its body and pretending to be a train, copying every detail of this means of transportation used by thousands of people every day. If you were at a station where Train Eater was, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference at first, because this creature mimics very well the sounds of gears, opening doors, announcements of upcoming stations, among other things. It also has lighting inside, just like a normal vehicle. You'll only realize something is wrong when the windows start to close, then it moves very fast, to the point where some people even lose their balance and fall. You'll see a green liquid running down the walls and slowly starting to fill the inside. Everyone around you will start to melt and be digested by it. The chance of surviving the devouring train is minimal because the acid is very strong. And even if you tried to use a knife or something sharp to cut your way through the walls, you would be going too fast to try to jump out of there. Maybe the only way to escape from this creature would be, whenever you are about to board a train, to poke the bodywork with something metallic, because if blood came out of the bodywork, you would already know who it was, right? All the unlucky passengers who get on it are digested, served as food for this creature. He likes to appear in very busy metropolises. His favorite times to fill his belly are during rush hours because he can catch many defenseless passengers without them even suspecting that this will be their last trip. So my friends, be careful when taking a train, okay? Custom Man, also known as Mr. Mascot, is a mascot costume, apparently empty, seen carrying a human body. It is not known whether Custom Man is a person who died and possessed the costume, or if it is something else that kills people randomly. There is a very interesting theory circulating on the internet that I am going to tell you about now. There was an amusement park in Florida, much loved by children and adults. On a very hot summer morning, something bizarre happened. There was an entertainer, in an animal costume whose job was to entertain people. You know those character costumes? It was a hot day. I wore an animal costume with antennas. The guy started to feel a weird heat inside the costume. He started having trouble breathing. Imagine being inside a costume that's all closed up with just a hole at the mouth. Since it was a new suit at the park, an employee had to help take it off. It was really sealed, man. The person's hands couldn't reach the back to open it, That's why he needed help. He couldn't take the super high temperature inside that plush prison anymore. He tried to ask people at the park for help, but nobody helped the guy. They thought he was crazy and started running away from him. Out of strength, he collapsed on the ground. 2 security guards saw the commotion and went to check what was going on. They saw the guy on the ground and tried to revive him by slapping his face, but it didn't work. The security guards tried to take him to the infirmary, but they didn't let him get medical attention. According to park protocol, employees had to be taken to their own staff room first, and only there could they get medical attention. When they got there, the security guards left him in the staff room. Since it was 45 degrees outside, the infirmary was crowded, right? And because of that, no healthcare professional went to see the guy in the costume. Due to this weather, the health surveillance intervened in the park's operation and ordered the immediate closure of the place. My brother, it turned out that Custom Man, or rather Mr. Mascot, was left there in the staff room forgotten, and they closed the park. After that heat wave passed, the park was able to reopen, and they found the guy stretched out on the floor with no sign of life. At the morgue, they started investigating what happened to the guy. They tried to take off his clothes, but they just couldn't do it at all. They decided to call in specialists to remove the clothes without damaging the body. They put him in one of those morgue drawers while waiting for a solution. The next day, when they opened the drawer, Custom Man was no longer there. The police were called in to investigate what happened. They searched the area and found no body. No trace was found at the scene. A call was soon received by the authorities about a body about 5 kilometers away from the morgue. There they found a body and next to it a cell phone. On it there was a video of Custom Man. He was asking for help from the cell phone owner's friend to try to remove the costume, but ended up killing him. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. To keep yourself safe from supernatural effects, leave your like down below. And leave a comment so I know if you like this video. Thanks. Hello my friends. Today we're going to learn about a totally bizarre creature. Reports of the existence of a bizarre cat started appearing on the internet in 2018. When the first image of the creature was posted online. In the photo, a creature similar to a cartoon cat is seen. It's sitting behind the door of an abandoned building, looking at the camera. Later, more images of this creature appeared, showing its whole body. Called Cartoon Cat, a giant black anthropomorphic cat with an extremely creepy smile and hands covered by white gloves, resembling cartoon characters from the 30s. He is described as very dangerous, and if for some reason you come across this creature, here's a tip. Don't look into his eyes. If you look directly into his eyes, you might go into a state of paralysis and end up in trouble. If you look at him and get paralyzed, your only chance is to have an eraser with you. If Cartoon Cat sees it, he'll get really scared and run away. That makes perfect sense because he used to be a cartoon and an eraser can erase him. So it's good to have an eraser handy. He feeds on any living being that moves and enters his territory. He can stretch his body any way he wants, making it easy to consume any living being regardless of its size. It is not known for sure how this monster came to be. However, according to internet users, there is a theory that has gained a lot of traction, which is as follows. The appearance of this creature would be due to a bizarre ritual that was performed with the drawing of this character. That way it would have come to life. Another theory is that some evil spirit took over the drawing. Haunting dark places like abandoned buildings, sewers, old factories, strange crossroads, and so on. Many disappearances of people who walk through these mentioned places are attributed to this creature. So, the advice here is, don't walk in those places. You might end up being surprised by Cartoon Cat and never see the light of day again. Leave your like and watch more videos from Leo Augusto, okay? Hello my friends, today we're going to learn about a creature that you have requested a lot. It's about Cartoon Mouse. He looks like a cartoon character. But this monster has two forms. One is more normal and seems harmless, and the other is really sinister and looks very dangerous. Unlike the other cartoon mice, he always has a sad expression on his face. His face lifts up like a mask and reveals his bizarre side. The most famous theory behind this creature says that he was once a normal mouse. A long time ago he lived in the wild, eating fruits or anything he could find. A laboratory was conducting research on cartoon creatures and had collected the DNA of Cartoon Cat. In order to further their research, they injected the genetic material into the mouse to see how the animal would react. However, this experiment did not go as expected. Within a few minutes, the mouse began to shake and scream. In the following minutes, he began to grow stronger and stronger, developing a large bone and muscle structure. His face changed and his ears became round. In front of the scientist, Cartoon Mouse was born. Agitated, he destroyed the entire research facility and ended up injuring the scientists. He ran away to the forest. He tried to hide from the world. He didn't want to cause trouble for humans. However, he began to be pursued and hunted. To survive, he began to hunt small animals he found. He holds no grudge against humans. However, if hunters come after him, he doesn't hesitate to show them his other side and what he can do to keep the peace. Hello my friends, today we're going to learn the story of a sinister creature known as Cartoon Rabbit. That's right, another creature from the cartoon lineage. Who is this thing? Where did it come from and why are hundreds of victims appearing? Cartoon Rabbit is a very dangerous creature, just like Cartoon Cat and many others. He is the most disturbed and crazy of them all. He doesn't like to attack anyone, but he does it anyway. That's because he has a violent urge coming from inside him. There is a small part of him that is good, a remnant of who he once was. But it's the evil part that controls his body. How a rabbit turned into this bizarre creature. Going back to his origin to find out what happened to him, we can see that it was a very old cartoon. From the 30s, he was very well known and loved by his viewers. A very cute rabbit, and he made people's days lighter and happier. But something went wrong. The golden age of cartoons came to an end. And like any other cartoon, he lost his career and fame. Nowadays, nobody cares about him anymore. They don't even know what this rabbit once was. With that, he lost his innocence. It broke into pieces and sank into deep darkness. Gradually, he began to be consumed and to become something evil. He no longer recognized himself, all that anger and pain he felt. They made him become a complete monster. He was ready to take revenge on all the humans who had forgotten him, and who put his fame in the hands of modern colorful cartoons. Many bodies were found wherever he went, and eyewitnesses reported that it was a bizarre rabbit. The officers began to investigate, but all in vain. There was no clue about the culprit's whereabouts. The entire population was on high alert, and something strange was noticed in each victim. It seems that the creature reshapes the entire human body into the form of a carrot and feeds on it, but for some reason leaves many behind. Most people who came face to face with Cartoon Rabbit did not survive. However, there is a theory that if the victim is in possession of a carrot, they may be spared and released by the monster. The person should offer it to him, and as soon as he takes it, it's time to run. If one night Cartoon Rabbit meets the same person who gave him the carrot, he will spare their life as a way of saying thank you and will continue his hunt. This proves that deep down inside this creepy creature, there is still that cute little bunny from the old days. Yo-Yo was a child like any other, one of those people who are avoided in places. Many thought she was strange because she was shy, that she was boring and uninteresting. Yo-Yo was very sad because this always happened to her. After a while, she stopped trying to interact with people and spent all day locked in her room. Her parents were very busy working and didn't realize that their daughter was having problems. She started drawing to pass the time. She drew on all the walls. As the days went by, Yo-Yo began to lose her mind. She lost control over her emotions, and it was becoming difficult for herself. Her mind was a whirlwind of sadness and anger. She hated the world and her life. One day, she heard laughter coming from outside her house. She looked out to the street and saw the children playing and having fun. As a last attempt to interact, she tried to go there to play too. However, she was rejected by the group. "Let me tell you something, you're really weird. We don't want to play with you, girl. You look like you just came from a funeral. Look at your face. Strange, freaky thing."
Get out of here, you crazy girl.
That was the last straw for Yo-Yo. Something in her mind snapped. She was angry, really angry. So she started drawing the face of a yellow bear. She used it as a mask. And she stormed out of her house, roaring like a bear. She wanted to scare them at first. They didn't pay any attention to the girl, you know. But soon, Yo-Yo pulled out a knife and ran toward the children, slashing at them. She was no longer human. Her bare face became permanent. And she covered her hands inside her dress. After that, she was nicknamed Cartoon Girl by the media because of her cartoon-like appearance. After that event, no one was able to find her. Her parents gave a statement to the police who came to the scene. And they said they didn't know why their daughter would have done that. And that she didn't have any problems anywhere, that she was a happy child. It's just that lately they had been a little absent because they had a lot of work to do. Yo-Yo feels that she has the right to be happy at any cost, and for that she tries to forcibly take other people's happiness. Through her sharp blades, right? If she sees children with their parents, Yo-Yo will lure the kid away by showing candy and taking him away from the adult. Then, that's it. There's a lot of talk on the internet about bizarre creatures and how these things can be scary. But one of the ones that gives people the most chills is called Cartoon Dog. This creature is very similar to Cartoon Cat. It looks like it came straight out of old cartoons and somehow is haunting people every day. What scares people the most isn't its bizarre appearance, but the doubt that arises about the origin of this creature. We still aren't sure how it came to life. Before, it was trapped on television screens to make children smile, to bring joy to people's daily lives with its stories and exciting adventures. But now somehow, they've come out of that glowing box and are wandering around looking for their next helpless victim. Yeah, my friends, it seems the cartoon Lineage is out there on the loose, causing chaos. Theories pop up all the time because of the huge popularity of this creature known as Cartoon Dog. One thing that really caught the public's attention is that cartoons were created to entertain people. So why would they be hunting humans for food? From the creator's perspective, it wouldn't be very logical, would it? But if we look at it from the creature's perspective, cartoons might hate humans for making them do things they didn't want to do. Because the moment they're animated, they're being forced to do what their creator wants. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Cartoon Dog and the others hunt humans. The last time Cartoon Dog was spotted was in December 2020 when a group of young people were having a little party at a quiet bus stop. They were drinking moonshine and chatting. That's when Cartoon Dog came out of a billboard and attacked the guys. One of them managed to escape and told the police what happened, but because he smelled of alcohol, the police didn't believe his story. They thought the young man committed the crime. We can think that this creature not only has the ability to come out of television or cell phone screens, but also from these billboards, and annihilate anyone in its path. On a dark and gloomy night, Woogie, an employee of a toy company, he was with the production manager testing the newest plush toy product. The company's sales were plummeting, and this would be the last chance to launch a new toy. The directors wanted a more appealing toy that had more life, but in the last tests, the plush toy ended up getting out of control. It went after the head of production in a hostile way. However, it suddenly stopped, and out of nowhere, his head exploded. The shrapnel ended up hitting Woog's arm, and he was unable to work. For some time, to make matters worse, the company was deeply in debt, man, and would need to make some cost cuts. That meant laying off employees. Luckily, Aang would keep his job, but he was already expecting the worst. However, after a week, he gets an unexpected visit. The production manager had a few things to say to him. There was a strategy that would make them successful in creating the smart Niffler. And they would rebuild the company. They would be promoted and make a lot of money. He just needed Woog's help for that. Already at the factory, the production manager said he was happy to have him there and that the toy would be named Woog. Since he was one of the few employees who stayed at the company, Woog felt honored by the recognition of more than 20 years at that company as soon as he signed some papers donating his name to the product. They tied him up and the experiments began. There was a clause in small print that authorized the company to do whatever they wanted with him. They transferred all of Wang's organs to the doll, trying something never seen before in the industry. And when our friend realized it, he was no longer the same as before. The thinking doll was made, ready to revolutionize the toy market. They tried to escape from there countless times, but without success. They always caught him trying to escape. And they punished the guy, or rather, in the toy. They brainwashed him, showing images over and over again in order to create a new behavior for the doll. And little by little, the old Ugg started to disappear, and his new personality emerged. And he became Huggy Wuggy. This video is sponsored by Leo's Store, which offers a wide selection of comics. On a sunny morning, a family is going on a trip, enjoying their vacation in Acapulco. Looking for a moment, he looks at his son in the back seat to say something. Everyone is very excited. That moment was interrupted by a truck coming from the opposite direction, crashing head on. The car flipped over and only the child seemed to be conscious. Soon after, what appeared to be paramedics arrived and took the whole family away. The father and the mother had severe physical injuries. They started receiving medical attention. Their condition is extremely serious. The father can't stay awake and ends up passing out. The last image he sees is his son in a doctor's arms. The mother, on the other hand, feels calmer because the boy was unharmed. He didn't suffer any injuries. However, contrary to what she thinks, that is not a hospital. It's actually Playtime Call, a toy company that is now venturing into creating intelligent dolls is facing imminent death. It won't survive if things continue this way. However, the offer made to keep it alive is to accept moving into another body, a completely different body, and become part of that company. This is the only way to stay with her son. So that's what happens. She is sedated and the procedure is done. And so the mother becomes Mommy Longlegs, a doll who loves all children. She has huge legs and arms that embrace the little ones. Don't they say that a mother's heart always has room for one more, so her arms always have room for one more child? As promised, she sees her son again. The boy is fine. Besides that, she notices several other children at the place. According to them, it's an area to test the toys. And since now she is one, nothing better than interacting with the children, right? She has no idea that they're analyzing every move, not just hers, but theirs as well. And so the days went by. Every week, a child wouldn't return to the place. They claimed they were doing other activities with different toys. Until one particular day, they took your son. This drove her crazy. She searched for a long time in those rooms, tried to go from one place to another, but couldn't. She searched for a long time, but what she found was only pain. The son she knew no longer existed. He and all the others had also been turned into toys. And to make matters worse, they were taken from her. All she wanted was to stay alive and watch her son grow up. But now Playtime Company has taken that away from her. In the year 1997, Robertinho was looking for some old things in his basement. So, while rummaging through some boxes, he ends up finding some cassette tapes called Amanda the Adventurer. Starring Amanda, she was a fearless girl, and by her side was Wooly, a timid little sheep. Robertinho didn't remember the episodes, but he felt a sense of familiarity with it. Had his mother put it on for him to watch in his childhood? Did he imagine he had seen it before? He put in the first tape and, while watching, soon noticed some peculiarities. The characters, the tree, the building, everything danced to a single rhythm. And then Amanda asks if the viewer likes apples. After that, Uli the sheep responds in a frightened way that he is allergic to apples, trying to stop us from going to the fruit store. But Amanda tells the sheep that he shouldn't be afraid to try new things. Robertinho thought that what the girl said was kind of irresponsible, right? Considering the age group of the kids who watch this show. Uli keeps saying he doesn't know where the fruit store is. Then another interactive moment is shown. The viewer has to select one of the 3 establishments that appear around there. You can clearly see the store since there's a fruit sign in front. Going inside the store, Amanda keeps her cheerful attitude. Meanwhile, Uli, with a scared look on his face, says that this place is full of people. That's strange, because we don't see any humans there. Only the objects in the scene have eyes moving around. Are these the people Uli is talking about? Amanda points to the apples and tells Robertinho to spell the fruit. So, giving the answer there, completing this task. Amanda praises him and says that now they could make apple pie. Then with a sudden cut, the credits roll, ending the first tape. But Robertinho was paralyzed. He wasn't sure, but he thought he saw something strange in the credits, a hidden phrase, warning about something. He decided he would start the second tape, but then he would go back to the first one to check the strange things he found on that tape. As soon as Robertinho put in the second Amanda the Adventurer tape, he noticed that Uli the sheep looked worried. Kinda sweating and shaking, man. The sheep got really close to the screen and started talking. It seemed like the character was trying to communicate, dude. He said he didn't have much time to explain and that he shouldn't do something. but Robertinho didn't understand. Then the screen suddenly flashes and the scene opens, and now we also see Amanda introducing herself. Like it's the standard intro of the tape, you know? It seemed to follow the same script as before, where Robertinho would have to choose one of the establishments there, right? Well, according to Amanda, they were going to make a meat pie for their grandma, even though Uli reminded them that their grandma was a vegetarian. Robertinho didn't really understand what was going on there, but he kept going with it anyway. So they went inside the butcher's shop. There was a feeling that something had happened. Inside the butcher's shop, he was shocked. We see the butcher there, right? Chopping up meat. And he needed to complete the word there, right? Which was meat, M-E-A-T. Okay, he finished it there. We saw Uli there, desperate, making the stop sign. He wanted to leave, you know? It's really uncomfortable for a sheep to be in a butcher shop, right? She even started acting strange. These glitches kept showing up all the time, man. And it looked like Amanda had a knife in her hand. So, right, man? We didn't know if it was just the shadow of her finger, or if she was actually holding a knife. Turn your head slowly towards Uli. In a creepy way, man, she doesn't even blink. And Uli responds looking at her slowly with a terrible expression. Man, he's sweating cold, shaking, and then this tape ends. Right, man, with no definite conclusion. They just went there to make the meat pie for the old lady. And let's see what happens, man. Once again, we see decisions that leave Uli more and more terrified, man. The tape ends before anything happens to Uli. Did Amanda know that the sheep was trying to communicate with Robertinho? And so the episode ended before its time. Looking at his table, he sees an extra tape. He didn't remember taking 4 tapes from the basement. He thought he should watch it until the end. He wanted to unravel the mysteries surrounding this bizarre children's series. He put it in and saw something very different. It looked like a photo of a real house. An option to spell something appeared. He didn't know what to write, so he put Amanda's name. Another image appeared, of a road with forest. Once again, the option to spell something appears. And he repeats the same name. And another one appeared. It looked like a slaughterhouse with several pieces of meat. That's strange. In the last episode, they were at the butcher shop, and Uli was shaking with fear. An image of a slaughterhouse with meat is shown. Robertinho writes to Uli. Suddenly, the screen goes blank and the tape is ejected from the device. Robertinho was sure that Uli wouldn't be in the next episodes anymore. What's the reason for showing all this? Could the house symbolize his home, the road his journey to find them, and the butcher shop Willie's ultimate goal? He was sweating and trembling before going to the third and last one. He decided to rewind all the tapes to challenge the rules of the game. He would select everything in reverse order that Amanda asked for, and he would write everything wrong. But when he started doing that, Amanda got really mad and pissed off, man. She would forcefully change the options. So there would be only one possible choice, and when Robertinho typed it wrong, she would correct him. That's crazy, man. It felt like a rigged game where the path you had to follow wasn't the one you wanted, but what the master ordered. He watched the end credits because he had noticed something different from the last time, and that's when he saw it written. Turn off the television now. That was the message Uli was trying to send. That's when he put the other tape in a state of shock. He wanted to put an end to this matter. And as usual, he opens the screen, but only Amanda is there, and it looks like the scene is at night. Robertinho was sure he had gotten rid of Wooly. Next to her, there was a pink mass. It looked like a ball of meat, man. Could that be Wooly? Amanda tells Robertinho to select the house, the residence that no one really knew who it belonged to. He selects the playground just to mess around, but her reaction was totally furious. It seemed like Amanda wasn't joking anymore, man. The playground option disappeared and Robertinho clicks on the old house. Facing the house, Amanda tells him to knock on the door to go in with a bizarre look on her face. Errors start happening and the screen gets all static, man. He clicked on the door and it opened slowly. Amanda was no longer hiding her demonic features. The outline of the character, the texture, Everything turned into static, all messed up, glitching everything, man. And then a spelling screen appears. As it was completed, several letters started appearing out of order. Next, an entity with many eyes appears, and everything goes dark. Robertinho had discovered the entity that was manipulating that game. It used him to break free from the tape. The monster was now in Robertinho's body, and his soul was trapped in the world of the tapes. Could Amanda and Uli have been his victims in the past? And would anyone ever watch that tape again and save him? It could take a long time, man, until someone does that. While he decorates the set of a cursed game, unfortunately, Robertinho didn't have a very good ending, being stuck there forever.